Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the invitation to this valuable workshop. It would be my pleasure to elaborate Egypt's investment reform strategy, which is based mainly on government investor confidence, as well as the support and encouragement of private sector participation in infrastructure, Egypt's mostly needed sector. Our strategy revolves principally around creating an investment-friendly environment that enables a business-oriented milieu, attracting therefore local, Arab, and foreign investments. The core of the reform strategy largely aims at the reconciliation with investors. And I repeat this reconciliation with investors. For investor-government trust purpose, we believe that openness and sincere trustfulness in declaring previous breaches or disagreements are essential preliminary steps to any deal settlements where fair mutual terms or agreements subsequently guarantee both government's rights and investors' interests. I would like to take this chance and announce that the first digital investment map in Egypt will be launched by late June, so in a few days, inshallah, we'll be having the first digital investment map, consolidating around 300 projects, out of which tens of BBB projects, most of them are around transportation and BBB projects in transportation and maritime services. Inshallah. It's also important to highlight that the government is determined to improve and facilitate for investors all legal frameworks. 3 amendments to the investment law, as well as procurement laws, like the changes in the tender law number 89, have been already drafted and agreed by the cabinet and would be shortly discussed in the Shura Council and is being discussed right now in the Shura Council for the final approval, which gives a lot of facilitation in the bidding process, and the other laws that I already talked about before, which are law number 7 and number 8 from the investment laws, which talks around reconciliation again with the investors, the one that I talked about before. Dear distinguished guests, let me brief you with an overview of Egypt's investment climate strengths. We are proud to have a strong domestic market, a great location advantage, a comparative advantage in labor-intensive sectors with significant export potential, and an investment legal framework, and a government really committed to improve the investment climate, inshallah. Actual investment figures are good confidence indicators. For example, the top 10 realized investment paid up capital since Jan 2012 till March 2013 exceeded the $1 billion. But we have to be honest with ourselves and confess that the last year, the FDI to Egypt was extremely low. We are speaking around $350 billion only, which is very low. We are speaking that the capital formation in Egypt last year was hovering around 15%, while in Turkey we are speaking around 22%, and in Indonesia we are seeing 32%. And the gross capital percent in Egypt should be higher. The economic growth, the GDP growth in Egypt this year will be closing around 2.3%, and this is a low number as well. Next year, all of us should be targeting 4%. And we cannot do this if we are not involving the BBB projects. The recent concession investment agreements with Mashriq company in East Port Said is for 25 years. The project shall establish an integrated terminal for storage and handling of bulk liquid products providing bunkering service of total investment value of approximately £3 billion. Ladies and gentlemen, our focus today is on transport infrastructure. Egypt's transport infrastructure is among the priority sectors of high attractive investment opportunities. According to the World Bank, infrastructure investments and maintenance needs in the MENA region until 2020 is sum of US dollars 106 billion per year, or around 6% of regional GDP, whereas investment and rehabilitation needs are likely to be especially high in transport sector, particularly roads. We acknowledge serious transport infrastructure investment deficit, and Egypt's railways and parts of its highway network is in disrepair. Therefore, we support and encourage different models of private sector investment in all types of transport infrastructure that has strong employment generation effects, in particular in roads and bridges, which alternately gives the sector a high degree of public acceptance. There are several good reasons to invest in Egypt's transport infrastructure. Core areas for investment such as roads, rail lines expansion, connections and terminals, value-added services around ports, dry ports, and airport infrastructure. Greenfield opportunities, as almost all current transport facilities have reached capacity ceilings, thus providing rich opportunities for investment from infrastructure to specialized value-added services. And rising domestic demand for imports and a rapid rise in export-oriented businesses are creating strong demand for transportation services in a market that is very far from being saturated. Unique geographical position and at a crossroads of international trade between Europe, Middle East, and Asia, businesses are increasingly seeking to base themselves in Egypt as a springboard to Europe and at a booming regional market. The government of Egypt has a strong policy support for infrastructure investment. We are recently working on relocating, and this has been approved by the cabinet a few days ago, relocating the BBB unit from the Ministry of Finance to the Ministry of Investment to coordinate and integrate project promotion, investor climate, and ensure an efficient, speedily process of BBB transactions. Communicate strategy for raising awareness about the existence and role of BBB, educate the public and build consensus of all stakeholders, regulatory agencies to ensure fair contract administrations and level of service to citizens of Egypt. New proposal for Suez Canal Development Corridor that envisage an integrated transport, logistics, and industrial activities along the Suez Canal, a key passage for world trade movements that ensures Egypt is a major player in the global maritime sector. On a longer term, the government of Egypt is working with its African counterparts to enhance intra-Africa connectivity, including the construction of the first railway transport line between Alex and Cape Town, serving over 1 billion African passengers. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank the organizers for the first annual BBB Transport Sector Workshop and hope it will provide participants with adequate knowledge and information sharing on the forthcoming investment opportunities in the transport sector using public-private partnership model.